Hi guys, this is Mario Kart. I'm going to be doing another tutorial for XNALara. I know the last video I said that that was going to be the last, but turns out that there's not many 3ds Max users on the TR forums. There's a few guys there, but they're just relatively new to the software. So with this video, I want to kill two birds with one stone. I want this to be a beginner's tutorial for people new to 3ds Max. And I also want to show you guys how to get a more complex model across into 3ds Max. So we're going to be using one of the SoulCalibur 4 models. Today, actually, there was a problem with the script, and there actually turned out to be a typo there. And anyway, after fixing the typo, there's a lot of talk about the SoulCalibur 4 models, and some of these guys are talking about splitting the model or something. I'm not sure really what's that about. I didn't really read into it much. Probably the amateur model, but this guy here, I think his name is Rexel. Yeah. He seems to be king of the hill right now. So I'm trying to understand where he's coming from, but I honestly don't think you have to split the model. But either way, I'm going to show you guys how to split a model. This one guy here, he's talking about he wants to use the script, he just doesn't know how to do certain things. I'm assuming he means splitting the model, so we'll cover splitting the model, although it's not required, okay? But anyway, also thanks to this guy, Camel M93, I was asking these guys to post up their models they were having problems with, and one guy and this guy were the only two people that actually posted anything. And this guy, he gave me the models and the textures, so thank you, because now we can do a little tutorial on this. So great. I already did this already, but I finished the entire video, and then when I tried to export something, I found another bug in the exporter, and then after fixing the bug, I just totally forgot where I was in my thoughts. So this is actually a redo, so that's why some files are already here that shouldn't be existing right now. So I'm just going to try and start things from the beginning now. So first off, I'm just going to give you guys a little introduction of 3ds Max. Okay, so if you guys are already knowledgeable of 3ds Max, you guys can skip ahead like halfway through. That's probably where I'm going to start talking about the SoulCalibur 4 model. So for right now, we're just going to be talking about the bare bones basics of 3ds Max to get you going on using 3ds Max. Okay, so 3ds Max. Okay, there's two versions that I have. I have the new one and I have the old one. I just use the new one because it has a proper editor for making Max scripts. The other one doesn't, so that's why I use this one. Otherwise, if I'm doing file operations like doing model editing and stuff like that, I don't use this program. I usually use Max 8. Okay, I'm going to be showing you guys in Max 8, but I'll also switch between the two just to explain some of the differences. But just keep in mind, I don't normally use the new one, so I don't know a lot of the features on it. Okay, the only reason I don't use it is just sometimes the navigation, the viewport is kind of wonky. Look what I got! I got a new friend! Yay! I don't even know who that is. Okay, so like I said, navigation is kind of wonky on here, so it annoys me. So that, and to also, as soon as you save in a higher format, you can't send it to somebody, because say somebody has Max 9 or something, and you saved it with Max 2011, you can't interchange your files. So I found that really annoying when you're trying to like do a project between two different people or multiple people, and you're trying to swap files, and you all have different versions of Max, and it's just like you can't interchange files. So it just really annoys me. So that's why I use Max 8. Anyway, enough ranting. Okay, so let's just go around in a circle. First off, I'm going to start in this lower right corner because this is one of the most important. Okay, I don't know if you can see it too well because this usually with HD things are going to be really tiny, but bear with me. In the corner here are your navigation controls. I'm just going to create a box so it looks more traditional to Blender, but normally when you start 3ds Max, there is no box. Okay, if you want to create a box, you have to go to the Creation tab under Primitives and select a box, and then you left click and make a box. But anyway, I'm just putting a box here just so it looks more like Blender. because I know a lot of people are from Blender. So anyway, so there's our box. So say you want to look at the other end of your box. So how do you do that? Use your navigation control. So if you want to rotate around it, you click on the rotate, and you can just rotate around it. I just use the left button, click, and drag around, and you can see I'm rotating around the object. Okay, say I want to pan. So I hit the little hand, it pans around. Okay, simple. And if I want to zoom, click on the magnifying glass, it zooms. Okay, simple. Okay, you want to do that with the keyboard and mouse. Again, simple. To rotate, it's actually the left side of your keyboard, hold down the Alt key, okay, and then you hold down the scroll wheel. So you hold that down, and then you just move your mouse around. Okay, you want to zoom, you just roll the mouse wheel up and down. Okay, and then for panning, you hold down the mouse wheel and you just move the mouse around. Okay, so it can be all accomplished with the mouse and the keyboard. All right, I know the controls between XNALara, Maya, and Daz, they're all different. Everything's different. So there's going to be a learning curve on learning the navigations, okay? But once you get that locked down, that's pretty much the hardest part of 3ds Max. So after that, you're all good. Okay, next. Boop. Oh, also this little button here, maximize the viewport. If you click on that, it'll maximize your current selection. So if you notice, you have 3 orthographic views here, left, top, and right. Okay, then you have perspective. Okay, so you can go into any one of those. I'm just left clicking, or you can click the mouse wheel. That'll highlight the window. So whichever one's highlighted, you can just click on here, and it'll expand. Okay. Another point. If you notice, there's no camera in 3ds Max. I know from Blender, you have like a fixed camera here, and you have to move the camera to make a render. In 3ds Max, a little bit different. Whatever you have in perspective, and you go to render, it's how it is as you see it. So that's the one thing I like in 3ds Max over Blender, is you don't have to use a stupid camera. But you can still set up camera systems in 3ds Max. It's not saying that you can't, but yeah. What else can I say? Navigation. Okay, say you want to see the wireframe. You're going to right-click and go to wireframe. There's your wireframe. Okay, if you want to do that with a hotkey, that is F3 or F4. Okay, so those are good to know. F3, F4. What else? What else? Okay, I think that's it for that, for navigation. Let's not go into this too much, because that's something entirely different. Let's hop up over here, okay? Okay, let's start with the undo button. Okay, in Blender, say you moved your box, right? You know, if you like right click or left click, it'll just bounce back, okay? What that is Blender, if you hit the left, I think it's left click, no, it's right click. If you right click after doing an operation, it'll undo your operation. It basically means cancel your operation. In 3ds Max, it doesn't work like that. If you click, it just brings up a sub-menu. Okay. To make it go back, you actually have to undo your operation. So you do an operation, you can't cancel it, you have to undo it. So that's the difference here between Blender and Max. So if you see me moving something around and it bounces back, that's not that I'm using any kind of crazy magic. It's just I'm undoing. So the hotkey for undo is Control-Z. That's pretty standard across any editor program. So yeah, you move it, you're unhappy with where you moved it, just hit Control-Z, and yeah. So yeah, it works pretty fluently. At least I've gotten used to it. So that's how you do it. Okay. So that's that. Undo, redo, pretty simple. Linking. Okay, let's see if I can show you what linking is. Say you have 2 objects. If you move this object, it moves. You move this object, it moves. Okay. If you link one object to another object, that means now the other object is stuck to the other object. But you can see I can move this one still, but not this one, or vice versa. I mean, yeah. So this one is attached to this one. So when you move this one, it translates with the other box. But since this is only attached to that, it won't move the other one. Okay. Unlinking just breaks the chain there, so now you can move them both freely. Okay. So that's that. This is the select. The arrow that just selects stuff. Nothing special there. This thing will. This is called the object selector. What do you want to call it? From here you can see all the objects in your scene, and you can filter or toggle out things you don't want to see. Okay, so say I don't want to see all the geometry, I just tick that off. Okay, in 3ds Max 9 and higher, I believe they've changed the box. Okay, now it's a little bit more different. Your filters are actually on top, and they're actually icons. Okay, the same thing. You just go through there, and instead of showing a long list of stuff, actually it's in a tree, and you can expand and contract the tree and select files that way. Okay, actually in this one there's no actual file tree. It's just kind of all in one big list. So that's one little drawback, but that's okay. I actually prefer this one more than the other one. So anyway, that's that. This one, the hotkey is H on your keyboard, so H key. That'll bring up the box. Okay, this is handy to have, very important. This is the lasso. You can pick different shapes. Not so much important. I think this is back cross window. I forget what that does. This is your editing kind of stuff. Your manipulation tools. So moving would translate your item across the axis or whatever. Okay, so you can select it and move it around. All right. Same thing with rotate. This is all pretty standard. Rotate your object and scale your object. That's again pretty standard across all programs. One thing you should absolutely never ever do is use these translation tools to navigate around your model, because I've seen some guys when they're new to Max, they don't know how to navigate, so the only thing they know how to do is pick something that looks like a giant rotation button, and they highlight their model and like, oh okay, cool, oh nice, and they navigate around their model that way, which is improper. Okay, your navigation controls are here, so if you want to surf around the model, use those. Do not use this, because if you notice, your ground plane is actually right here, and by rotating it, you're actually changing the actual item in 3D space, so that's improper and wrong. And of course, that will save, and you won't be able to bring it back to where it was. So yeah, but I was just undoing it, so that's why it's back. Again, if you see anything magically undo itself, that's because I did the undo button. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Okay, these buttons. Okay, pivot button. The pivot button, hopefully you don't have to worry about too much, but it is very important. Okay, if you notice the gizmo here, where I can grab my object and move, based on the pivot point, that gizmo will change locations. It's best seen when I'm resizing something. So when you resize, the pivot is very, very crucial, because your model will be multiplied based on that pivot point. So if I expand it, you can see that you can see in here that it's moving up. It's moving up towards based on the size or location of the pivot. So if I change the pivot to, say, the grid, the center of the grid, okay, you see that now it moves away from the grid. Okay, and there's another one from the center of the object. I think I already did that one. And this one's pivot of the well, there's the pivot of the center. There's the center of the mesh, then the pivot of the object. I know that's kind of confusing, but they are different. So this one pivots from the object, pivots from the middle. Okay. Anyway, usually it's on center pivot. This guy, pivot point center. So just leave it on that. So yeah, the same thing in Max, the new Max. I believe the icon's a little bit different. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you want to bring a sub menu out of your one of your toolbars, you just left click and hold, and now you can see I have 3 options available to me. Okay, that's how you go through that. Okay, so that's that. Skip that one. Snapping is very important. If you right click on the snapping button, you get a bunch of snapping options. You can snap based on vertice, etc., etc. Usually I just keep it on vertice, and now I can snap one object to another object based on its vertice in 3D space. So you can see I've now lined them up perfectly using snap. Okay, you can even snap to the grid, whatever. You just have to change the options to grid. Okay, that is a very handy tool. Okay, another handy tool is rotation snap. Kind of stupid that they have 3 different snap buttons, but yeah, this is basically the same thing. If you right click on it, we can change it so the rotation rotates in a fixed increment of angles. So let's make it 90, so you can only go 4 rotations. So if I try to rotate under snap mode, you can see I can only rotate 90, 90, 90, 90 again. So yeah, this is again very handy for things. Okay, so that's rotation snap, and what else we got here? Size snap, yeah, whatever. And we got these are just scripts I have installed, so just ignore that because yours won't be as cluttered. Over here, you should have mirror and you should have align. So if we use mirror, obviously, as it implies, it's going to. Oops. Let's try to change. Yeah, there we go. Let's try that now. Boink. Nah, it's not working. Center pivot. Copy. No. Trying to show this better. Okay, there we go. Now you can actually see that. So yeah, obviously it just creates a copy based on the axes. Okay. Again, if you change your pivot point, that will also change. So if I mirror based on a different pivot, it'll go in different directions. Mirroring is kind of confusing, but also kind of crucial. But anyway, we won't be using that in today's tutorial. Another thing that we need that is important is alignment. So first thing off, you need to actually select an object. So then you can hit alignment, and now your cursor has changed to a little sliding box thing. So when you click on another object, you'll get this alignment box here, and now you can align your first object with the other object based on these parameters. So I can line it by X, Y, and Z coordinates. As well, I can set it to the pivot center if I want. So I can use the center or the minimum or the bind box or whatever. But usually, well, you will always have it on pivot point. Sorry. You can do rotation as well, but most of the time you don't really need it. Okay. But anyway, you notice now that the box is totally aligned with the. Oops. Sorry. That's probably a mirrored item. Let's find the original 2 boxes I made. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, so try to align that, and with all that stuff enabled, you can see that the box is now completely with the other one. It's completely aligned. So yeah, that's the align tool. That's also very important. So the hotkey for that is Alt A. Okay, so Alt A, and I can do that every time. So that's great. What else you need to know? Okay, this button here, this is the material editor. So you want to add a new material, you click on that, and this is a kind of a separate little application. In 3ds Max, the new one, to be honest, I've never used it, and I believe they've changed it completely. Or no, I've changed it back in the options, but I don't know how to change it back. Shit. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you'll have this thing right here. This is a, I guess they call it a graph editor or slate material editor. Yeah. I haven't taken the time to really use it because again I use Max. I use this one. To turn it back to the old style, you just hold and you can change it back. It looks like a little Game Boy. So yeah, that's the old editor. Okay. So you would do your editing through this way. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. So yeah, what I was going to say was you want to apply a material, you would just drag and drop one of these little balls, and now you have a material. Okay, see that I can change the color and whatnot. Okay, so that's how you would apply a material or edit a material or add more texture to your material. So that's the material editor. Okay, what else needs to be said? These other bars are pretty much something you don't have to really concern yourself about. This is the reactor for animation. The animation slider here I will probably be using. Basically, you can set different animation keys and you can surf around them, play them, whatnot. Okay, but otherwise, for now, I think that's the basic of what you need to know. So again, this is pretty much the end of the intro here. I'm going to be starting to do the Soul Calibur 4 stuff now. So if you're into that, you can just tuning in now. You can. That's where it's going to start. Okay, and then yeah, so we're going to be doing that. Great. Okay, so let's see where I kind of lost my frame of mind. Yeah, so this guy, he sent me the model, and when I extracted it, it came as a FBX file. So I'm just gonna assume that anyone working with Soul Calibur 4 is going to have an FBX file. of course with DDS textures. Okay, so what I did was I imported it into 3ds Max. So obviously I went to import, picked FBX from the thing, and I opened it. Okay, but right now I've deleted all the extra model files. When you start a project in your XNALara data folder, if you have more than one model file, then XNALara won't open it. So when you start a project, make sure you only have this mesh file. Okay, I actually stored the FBX in here. Okay, because I don't want it to get confused in XNALara. Anyway, so yeah, I imported that into here. I'm not going to import it because it takes a lot of time to import. I don't know why, but it's really slow. Anyway, so yeah, just jumping ahead here. So once you import your FBX, this is basically what you're going to get. Okay, it might be completely gray. Okay, but just save and reload, and hopefully 3ds Max will try to find the maps for you. If it doesn't, it should prompt you to specify a location of where the textures are, and then you would go through that way, and then of course your textures should show. Okay. Other than that, oh yeah, in the new 3ds Max, I think you actually have to enable them through here. Show materials in viewport. Yeah, I think you have to actually enable them through here. But anyway, I'm using the other one. I think this one's a lot more user-friendly than the other one. But anyway, so yeah. Our model, you should have your model looking like this. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what kind of issues we have with the model. Number one issue is obviously she's white. Yeah, okay, so she's white. Okay, that's number one. Okay, that's not hard to fix. I will show you how to do that. I will try to avoid using a 2D editor just because I understand that people use many different editors. Myself, I use the Corel or Jasic PaintShop Pro, and I know other people use GIMP or they use Photoshop. So, going to try to avoid using a 2D editor, although if there's anything we have to edit, it's probably going to be something basic like cut and paste. Okay. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two, I would say she's got multiple meshes. Okay, if you ever played Soul Calibur 4, the game is based around customization and the fact that if your player gets hit, that their clothes fall off. Okay, so yeah, that was a big selling point for them, I think. So yeah, you have to worry about the customization because there's multiple meshes in there. So for one, she has, I think, 3 levels of damaged clothing. So she's got a perfectly fine suit or costume, and then her costume gets a little bit more torn up, and then final one, she's like missing massive pieces of clothing. So we have to kind of separate those meshes, and I do not believe there's an easy way to do that, because if you look at the names, they're somewhat kind of cryptic. I really don't know how to decipher most of that. So if I select all these, actually let's filter out the bones, only geometry. If I select something like this, it doesn't even make any sense. So yeah, we're just gonna be doing it the old-fashioned way. Unless you know something with the names I don't, then you can just do it the easy way. But otherwise, we're gonna probably do that the hard way. And that's that. And the last problem is, I believe, all this stuff at her feet. Okay, for some reason, the person who wrote this importer kind of didn't get the positioning of some of this stuff right because it's at the floor. But that's okay. You can just put it back easy. Okay. If you need some visual help, I took screenshots from my game, so all the characters are in here, and you can see their face and just a far shot of their body. Okay. This also double backs as a color palette for you, because now you can get the colors from the game and recolor your model's textures. Because as you can see, she is white. All right. So, if you're interested in getting the screenshots, you can head over to NTax here. Okay, NTax is a hacking forum. Most of the models from XNALara are actually from here. So, yeah, come over here, and in here, I'll probably post this link with the video. You can download all the character models. You can download screenshots I took, as well as there is a guide on setting the materials in 3ds Max. Okay, but I think yeah, he does this in a different way, so I would not recommend using it his way. Although not to put him down or anything, it's just he's using a mix modifier, which is not what I would use. But whatever. So yeah, the little tutorial there, but we'll be recapping this in the video here. So either way, yeah, you'll need that stuff if you want. And anyway, so now we're going to fix the problems as followed. So the first problem would be, I forgot. Let's just remove the extra meshes. Let's just go with that because that sounds easy. Yeah. Okay. So removing the extra meshes. First, what we want to do is do some management here because these bones are kind of in the way, and we don't want to accidentally touch one and pull it out here, and then later on be like, "Oh my God, their boob fell off." Okay, because FBX, the imported model file, it imported these bones, but they are not bones. Because if I go into my filter and I select none, and I select to view bones, you can see there's no bones in the scene. That's because they're not bones, they're helpers. Okay, for some reason, the official 3ds Max plugin imports them not as bones, but as dummy files or dummy nodes. So this is a little problem because unlike bones, they can actually pull off the model. Okay, if you had a bone, that wouldn't be able to happen. So you have to be very careful because you accidentally pull one of these, it's going to mess up later on when you try to animate. Okay, so what I want to do now is separate the bones from the mesh so we don't have any accidents. So what you're going to do is going to unhide everything, and we're going to go to our scene list again. Anytime that thing pops up, it's usually me pressing the H key. So that's our object selector. Okay, I'm going to hit all, and I'm going to disable geometry. I'm going to select everything else. Okay, now I'm going to go to the layer manager. Okay, so in the layer manager, we can now assign a group of items to a single layer, and we can then manipulate that layer how we want later on. So I'm just going to right click anywhere in the window and go to create new layer. Okay, we can rename this if we want, don't really matter. Skeleton. Okay, so from here now we can hide it. Simple as that. Okay, right, great. Now, oops. Yay. Okay, so next what we're going to be doing is removing those extra meshes. The one thing about that is that they have a skin modifier on them. Okay, so if I move them and I click on something else, like maybe out here in the middle of nowhere, you can see that that object pulled back to the model because it's pulling to the skeleton. Okay, so moving around skinned objects is a little bit more difficult. If you want to move it around, you have to disable the skin modifier itself. So say you move it somewhere, right? And you want to make it stay there, you have to go over here and untick it. So now when you unclick somewhere else, or click somewhere else, sorry, it won't move. Okay? This is different for a static item. A static item doesn't have a skin modifier. A skinned item has a skin modifier. So if a static item, which has no modifiers, if you move that around, that's fine. It'll stay there. Okay? Otherwise, skin modifiers, pretty much you have to disable every single one if you want to move it. Okay, so to figure out which objects I want to keep and which ones I want to get rid of, I have to look for duplicate models that are existing on the same kind of area. So to do that, I'm just going to pick up one of these objects, I'm going to move it slightly, and if there's nothing duplicated there, I'm just going to hit undo. And then I'm going to right click and go to hide. And just through process of elimination, I'm going to go through the entire mesh and hide or remove meshes that I don't want or meshes I want to keep. Okay, I believe there's like 100 or some odd models here. Don't worry, I believe the face has no damaging layers on it, so you can just hide the entire face, and already you're down 100 and something. So you only got to go through like 50 objects, which is relatively not too bad. I'm tired. Okay, so yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so it's not too bad. Yeah, again, you're just going to select an object. If it looks good, undo and hide it. Pick it up again. Looks good. Undo. Hide it. This we have duplicates of, so I'm going to disable this. And I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm not going to delete them, although you could if you wanted to. But say you go through your entire mesh and you're like, oh, I took out the wrong one. So it's easy for you just to go over here and turn the skin back on, and automatically that object has pulled back to the skeleton. Okay, it's easy as that. Okay, otherwise we're going to continue on and go through the rest. So yeah, you can see most of the stuff. It's pretty much okay. There's a few things around the legs, the limbs, and stuff like that. Sometimes on the torso, and that stuff has to be moved out. That's actually a static item. We'll get to the static items in a minute after we remove all these extra meshes. Okay, I'm going kind of quick because, like I said, I already went through all this before a couple hours ago, so I kind of already know it has to be pulled off. But yeah, this is kind of a guessing game because you have to figure out what layers are what. Because, like I said, the naming is kind of cryptic, so it's kind of hard. But one thing that's a giveaway is obviously all that shadowing, like her clothes got shredded off or something. So in a way, it's not too bad. Okay. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I want to hide that. Okay. And make sure you're only touching the skinned items at the moment. We'll get to the static ones in a minute. Okay, there's two. Which one do I keep? They look the same. Oh, where'd it go? So once you get these all separated, you can actually put them on a separate layer and put them back on the model. You just have to re-enable the skin. And then later on you can export the model in all her damaged layers, like not damaged, damaged, slightly damaged kind of thing. Okay, you can all use it all. You can all organize that in a single scene. You don't have to separate your scene every time. So that's the benefit of using layers. Okay. There's still more here. So try to be as thorough as you can. Okay, if you miss something, so be it. But the less you miss, the better. Oh, it's static. We don't need that. All right. Okay, so we're almost done here. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you want to keep an eye on only the skinned objects. Okay, because once you're done with the skin, you should only have the static objects left. And that's what you want. Alright, so these are leftover objects here, okay? These should all be static, I hope. Easy way to test is just to pull them over and click around. If they don't pull back, then obviously they're not attached to anything, okay? There's another way we can test too as well. If we unhide everything, so you want to unhide layers, yes. We have the skeleton, okay? If we move the skeleton, anything that has skin on it should move with the body. So if I go to the object selector and I only highlight or filter out bones, and wait, that's geometry. Yeah. To select a root bone or something at the top of the hierarchy of the bone chain or skeleton, you just have to select things that are touching the left side of the pane. So there's quite a few root objects here, but anything touching the left side of this pane is a root, a bone root. Okay, so I've selected nothing but bones. So if I move this bone, it should move the rest of the bones with it. Okay, like I was talking about earlier with the box. Okay, so you can see that that's moving on its own. And if I just move it out there for a second, you can notice there's nothing else there in the scene. Okay, so I'm pretty confident now that I've separated the the static items from the skin items from the damaged mesh items that we don't need. Oops. See, that's what I was talking about. You have to be careful with your skeleton, otherwise you'll pull things you don't want. Let's just hide that skeleton right away so we don't have any accidents. Okay, so now that's hidden. We just have the skinned mesh. Okay, now our static items, we might as well stick on a different layer as well, because now we actually have to apply these to our model as well. So there could be some confusion there. So let's keep organized. Right click again anywhere, and we're going to add a new selection. Okay, put my layer up there. Let's rename this layer to static meshes. Okay, so now if I hide that, they hide. Okay, right. If you want, you can also change. You can also put these on their own layer as well. That actually matters. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you can stick these on their own layers if you want. Again, through here, add new layer. Okay. Just make sure that that your base model looks good. You don't want anything missing, of course. But I'm pretty confident it looks good because I checked it out last time. So yeah, it looks good now. So yeah, we have the skinned mesh, which should move with the bones. So if I unhide the bones, you should see that everything should move with it. So we're good there in that respects. So yeah, all we have left to do is reattach our static items. Oops. Actually, let's hide those skeletons again. Okay, so let's get rid of these two. Yeah. Okay. So the only thing in our scene right now is our mesh and our static items. So the static items are a little bit confusing, and that's where the image reference really comes in handy. Again, if you start up the game, you'll have a lot more an advantage of figuring out where everything goes. But first thing I usually do is I separate them so they're not in a big cluster there, so I can kind of figure where everything goes. So I just try to separate them best I can. Okay, this one's not too bad. I've seen one Soul Calibur 4 model where it was just total chaos, and I had no idea where anything went. But this ain't too bad. So yeah, these kind of match up. I have no idea. So this is like a gauntlet. It's like a thing for her side. These things have to do with her face, etc. Okay, I'm probably not going to place all of these just for time constraint reasons. We're already pushing 40 minutes, so I want to get things moving along. I'm just going to place some of the easier items, and the rest we'll just delete, like this stuff. Little pieces of little junk we don't really need. Okay, I'm going to keep these. Yeah, I'll keep those, and then I'll just delete these. Okay, so we're just going to place these. These aren't too many. And I'll give you a good idea how to do the rest. Okay, so these ones are really easy, okay, but you can obviously see that the rotation of them aren't exactly what they should be. This is obviously a shoulder pad, as you can see in the image here, but the rotation is wrong, okay? So this is where rotation snapping comes in handy. So you just want to kind of, oops, let's undo that. Let's change the snap to 90%. There, oops, whoa, too much. Yeah. Okay. Another thing that may be a help to you is some of them will indicate the right and left. So this one says R and this one says L. So your right is her left. So this is the left. So it would go to the right side of the screen. This would go to the other side of the screen. Okay, it's pretty simple. So what I would do first is just generally move things at where I thought they would go. So these things are kind of around the leg. This doesn't indicate right or left. This one, I don't know. Okay, sorry, I got carried away. The align tool is really handy because if you have two things that are supposed to fit together, you can just use the alignment tool. So right there is a good example of how good the alignment tool is. You'll have to forgive me for just doing things kind of quickly. Sometimes I forget that some people may not know what I'm doing. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, so I just align that. Same thing with this. If I highlight this and I hit Alt-A, I can click on this, and I can use the alignment function to align it to the other one. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to rotate this so it looks right. Ugh, stupid thing. Okay, same with this one. Okay. Now, I kept these so I could illustrate a point here. These obviously go on this little darkened area here, but the rotation is wrong. Okay, if you use the alignment tool, okay, so you can, that's wrong. This goes over here. Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I think I already explained this, but you can use rotation as well. Okay, but usually turn that off. Okay, same thing with this one. So that's good. These things, I forget. These go up here somewhere. So this is, I hate when they don't say left or right on them. Group 4 and group 7. Okay, let's try to attach these first. Most of the time, these will actually correspond with a bone on the body. This could be best illustrated over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is isolate the body and then unhide the skeleton. So first off, let's go to our layer manager here. Okay, we're going to freeze the extra meshes, or sorry, the static meshes. So it's going to be frozen now. And we're going to unhide the skeleton, or sorry, not unhide that. We're going to highlight all the meshes in our scene. So you could go through here, hit all, or you can just drag and drop, or not drag and drop. You can click and drag to highlight everything. Okay, same thing either way. I'm going to do it this way. And now what we're going to do is make them invisible. So if you right click and go to properties, you have a mode called see-through. Okay, if you hit OK, you notice now your model is semi-transparent. The hotkey for that is Alt-X. Okay, so we're going to make it transparent, and now we're going to freeze it. Okay, now we can go over here and unfreeze our static meshes. Okay, and now we're going to unhide our skeleton. Yay! Okay, so now these objects, like I was saying, sometimes they actually fit with a bone. So for this example, this is called a Kata arm underscore L underscore function, whatever, etc. If you click on this bone, you'll notice that the name is actually Kata underscore arm underscore L underscore etc. etc. So in that respect, some of the things do fit together. So yeah, what we can do is again use the align function, Alt A, okay, align. We can hit click this button, and if you notice, this pad actually now perfectly fits onto the arm. You can see the bow comes out of here, etc. Okay, so yeah, that is all good and all. Some of them do work like that, some of them don't. So you have to keep that in mind. It won't work every single time. So yeah, same thing with this. I believe this goes up in here somewhere. Okay, goes like there. Yeah, so that goes perfectly there. Okay, but before you leave that as is, what you have to do is once you know where it goes, you're going to want to link it to that bone. Okay, because right now if I move the arm, wrong bone. If I move the arm, you can see nothing moves with it. These are static; they don't move with the arm. So to make them move with the arm, you're going to have to use the link button. So I'm going to select this mesh and link it to that bone. Okay. But one important thing, do not link a mesh to a mesh because it won't work. Well, once you export it, it'll be kind of messed up. You can only link these to a bone on the model, so don't link it to anything else. Okay, so remember that. Do not link a mesh to a mesh. Link only a mesh to a bone. So now if this bone moves, the mesh moves with it. So obviously if the arm moves, now the entire arm, it moves with the entire arm. Okay, got that? So now we can now align it to that bone. Okay, so now anytime we move the arm, that's going to move with it. These bones are so close together, it's hard to select the right one. So yeah, you get the idea. Okay, and now you're going to do that for, of course, everything else. So this, I believe, it attached to there. Oops, actually went there. Okay, so yeah, that you're going to do across all the rest of the model. Do this and there, and this and there, and that and there. Okay, but again, because of time restraints, not time restraints, but I really don't want to push this video past an hour, so we're just going to do these last two here and leave it at that. This is one of the examples where it doesn't actually go to a bone because the pivot is actually down here. It's kind of an odd case. In this case, if you want to attach it to here, which is where it goes according to the image, when you do your alignment, select center instead of pivot. Okay, you can see now it and disable rotations. Okay, so yeah, now it's moved properly. All right, so that's that. And these ones are just normal ones. You can just attach those. Oh yeah, and always don't forget to attach. Okay, I always forget to do that, and then I have to go back and do it. But you have to do it anyway. So try to be as organized as you can. That's the key to. I hate that thing. All right, so yeah, let's attach these now. So let's attach these to, let's say here, pivot mode. Yeah, that's wrong. There we go. Let's just double check here. Yeah, looks right. Okay. So yeah, that's not too hard. Okay. Once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quick. But although I would say if you want to do a good port of any Soul Calibur 4 model, it'll probably take you most of the day, if not all day. And if you're just doing it in free time, probably all week. Because one of these things is actually quite a bit of work. Anyway, so we're just going to leave it at that for now. I've probably just done a few, but anyway, to make sure that your objects are attached to your model properly, you're going to go back to your object select, and you're going to select those root bones again. Okay. Oh, going to disable meshes, only bones. So there's some. And again, anything touching the absolute left side of the pane is a root bone. We need to move that. Okay. So selecting all the root bones, we're going to move it. And you can see that I forgot to attach those. I was just talking about not forgetting, and I forgot. Isn't that funny? I'm an idiot. All right, so attach, attach, attach. This is so tedious. And again, you're going to select all the root bones and test. Okay. Okay, so that's all good. So now let's just make that transparent. So unfreeze, select all, properties. We're just going to tick that, tick it back. And now everything should be back to where it was. Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, now we're just going to fix the texture stuff, okay? So the last 10 minutes, hopefully I can get that accomplished. I'm only going to do the corset here, the dress here. Again, just to make things quick, okay? But again, you would do the same thing throughout the entire model, okay? So yeah, okay. I believe this is the texture, okay? How I found that was pretty easy. If you go to your material, where is it? Material editor here. You have this thing called the Eyedropper. You click on that, you can now select something in the scene. So if I click on this, you'll notice that it'll bring up the material system for that object. So if I make a change to something like the specularity, you can see to turn white. Okay. So if I even disable a map, I can change the color, stuff like that. So yeah, this is the material for that object. Okay, so just turn that texture back on. So like you have already noticed, the textures are gray. Okay, so yeah, what we want to do is color that back. Okay, now if you look at the image from the game, you'll notice that some of it is purple and some of it is gold. Okay, so what we have to deal with is masking to allow you to manipulate only certain parts of the image. So what we have to do is apply a mask and then multiply that texture. I'm just going to illustrate this really quick in here. I already did it already once before, like I said. You basically have a gray texture, okay? And you have one color versus another color on top of it, okay? And if you make these to multiply by that, you make those multiply over the top of that map, now you can see it changes the color of the map, okay? So that's the same idea. What we're going to do, we're going to multiply that gray map by a solid color pixel, and we'll get our results. And we'll be using masking to do that for us, okay? So first off, you have to find out where your mask is and where your diffuse is, okay? So to do that, I just went to here, and I obviously found it through here. It's called all 17.360.28, which is this one, okay? So I couldn't find the mask anywhere, but when I looked at the alpha channel, I'm pretty confident this is it. So this is probably the mask, okay? So again, to illustrate this, I'm going to just create a box here. Oh shoot, I can't create a box. Why is that? Okay, so let's I can't create a box right now because Max is being funny. We're just gonna create a copy of this, okay? Just try to bear with me. Okay, so this is just a copy, so just ignore this. This is just to prove a point with the textures. So let's apply this texture to it again. That way it creates a unique texture. So we're going to click on that. Okay. And all I want to do is just show you the mask. So, sorry, I went too fast. In the material editor, if you go down to maps, you can see all the maps that are applied to your material. I'm just going to click on the diffuse map here. Okay. And I'm going to turn on alpha, and I'm going to turn it on as gray. Okay. You can notice now that you can clearly see the mask there. It isolates the, I don't know what you call it, want to call it the gold thing there versus the cloth. So we're going to use this to multiply to get our various colors. Okay, so that's our mask. In the last video I did that I had the scrap, I was also trying to illustrate that masks can be, well, they're usually stored in a single map. And inside that single map, they can store actually four different masking maps. So I just created my own fake one here, okay? And if I split the red, green, and blue, you can notice that I have 3 different black and white images, which I can use to isolate various different parts of a mesh or my model. So anyway, we only have one mask. This is pretty easy. So to do this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this mask and we're going to be using it for this texture. So I'm just going to cut this off here. Okay, I'm going to delete this now. That was just to illustrate. And I need that back. By the way, the hotkey to bring up the material editor is the M key on your keyboard. So I'm just going to bring the material editor back up. Okay, we're going to go back to this material. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over here for a second. So we're just going to go to swap. So now our diffuse is empty. Okay, I'm going to add a composite. Sorry, up here. And we only have one mask. There's only 2, a positive and negative. So we're just going to use the 2. On one of these, we're going to add a red, green, blue multiplier. Okay, and on there, we're going to add. Oh, sorry, actually, I got that backwards. You're going to add a mask, actually. So we're going to add a mask here. So now we have a mask on the first mapping channel of the composite. So when we go there, we can add a map and a mask. So we're going to paste our mask there. That was the diffuse I was showing you earlier on the other mesh. That was just black and white. So this is just a black and white texture. Okay, and up top here, we're going to put the red, green, blue multiplier. So I'm going to find that again. There we go. So there's our red, green, and blue multiplier. Okay, so we're going to just go back to the composite. Which, by the way, if you want to go back, I usually just click on here and scroll back up. Otherwise, I believe one of these buttons, yeah, this button goes back and forth, forward to sibling, whatever. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna go back over here and we're gonna copy and paste a copy of that mask. So we have 2 masks on our composite. Okay. On the second composite, we're going to click on that, and we're going to click on Invert Mask. So now we have two different layers to our texture with opposing masking maps. So one does one side, one does the other side. And we also have a multiplier where we can add a different color. Okay, got the idea. So basically we stick our diffuse there and we multiply it by a color. So now we have to go back and grab that diffuse map there. So this is the normal diffuse map. So I just cut it out, and we're going to add that to our mask. So we're going to paste this here, and we're going to go back way back. We're going to go over here and add that there. Okay, now from there we can multiply the color by whatever color you want it to. I believe if you look at this thing, it's purple. You could also get the color from there if you wanted to, but I'm not that finicky. We're just going to try and get it close to what it was. Probably looks about right. And you do the same for the other side. It's about yellow. Okay, that's kind of a gross yellow. Alright, so there you go. Usually, with these newer type of games, you have a specularity map, but from what I can see, there is no specularity map. But I do have a normal map. So to add a normal map, you just enable bump and click on that thing that says none. And you're just going to double click on that thing that says normal map. Sorry, I keep burping. So yeah, now we're just going to drag and drop the normal map. So this is the normal map for it, I believe. It's the same as a diffuse, kind of. Yeah. So we can just drag and drop that and place it there. Okay. Then to get more of the effect, you may want to increase the specularity. Maybe not that high, but something like that. So if we hit the render key, which is actually F9. Actually, that's kind of dark. Let's go with something like that. Okay. So yeah, you can see the effect is pretty good. Okay, if you want to change some of the colors, maybe you're not happy with them, they're not too accurate, whatnot, you can go in here and just change the color. Oops. Maybe you want it a little bit more lighter. Yeah, so here. Let's go with something like that. So that looks good. I like that. Right, so that looks pretty good. Almost on par there. So yeah, that's it. That's you got your normal map and your whatever, and it looks pretty much like it was before. The only thing different is obviously the rim light that that their engine uses. Unfortunately, XNALara does not support rim lights, but say for rendering purposes, you just want to add something cool to make it look more accurate. You can click on the reflection button there and add a fall off. Okay, you might want to cut the fall off in half there, and bring it down. And what that will do, it'll give you that amount of rim light on your model according to what your little graph there is. Okay, but that will not translate over to XNALara, just to let you know. But anyway, another thing that will not translate over to XNALara is this composite modifier. So if you try to export with that composite, export may fail, or it may export with no material. So yeah, what you have to do is you have to bake that into a single diffuse, because right now our diffuse is this little gray map here. So what we want to do is we want to bake all those colors and that masking into a single texture. Okay, so to do that, fairly easy. Again, we're just going to be using this as an example. So we're going to be using the render to texture feature. So under rendering, you see render to texture. If you hit the 0 key on your keyboard, it'll do the same thing. From here, the first thing you want to do is copy the directory of your project folder. So we're just going to paste that into there. Okay. You could also go through the browse button here, but I find this thing really tedious and annoying to use because I have so many folders. Anyway, the render setup is pretty much okay for now. We're going to select this item, and now more options will appear. You really don't have to do anything. You may want to change the padding to 20, and that's pretty much it. You make sure that your channel is on 1. Then from there, you're going to add a diffuse. We're just going to make a diffuse map. And depending on the size of texture you want, usually 1000 by 24 is pretty solid. So we use that, and make sure that lighting and shadowing is disabled, and just render. Okay. So what that's going to do is it's going to bake all our textures and output them to a map. Okay, and it saved this thing here. And you can see now that our textures are now baked. Okay, so now if I go into here, I can delete this. Like go to clear, I can go here and I go to add bitmap. I can open a new bitmap. Okay, easier way for me is just to drag and drop. So I can drag and drop this to here. Okay, I'm just going to drag this whole material back. Oh. What? Shoot. On off. There we go. On. There we go. So yeah. So now it's, if I use my dropper and click on it again, this should be my current material, and you can see that I'm only using a single map, and it's flat. So not flat, but it's baked. So now all my colors are into a single map. So effects should be the same, only it's not using a composite, it's using a diffuse map. Okay. I cannot do all those steps for you through the Mac script, so you're going to have to do the baking yourself. Okay. I could incorporate that into the script if your material was a composite, bake it, but I'm worried about the processing time on that. So you're going to have to go through every material and do it yourself. Otherwise, if somebody wants that feature to be added, I can add it. But otherwise, yeah, you're going to do that for every single mesh item. I believe there's not too many. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatnot. But still, there are about 90 of these textures. Probably about a third of those have to be actually quite a bit. A third of those have to be processed, so it's not too bad. But anyway, so that's that. The last part is obviously to export. The final thing I do before exporting is I unhide everything, of course. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the root bone. Okay, so I'm going to find the root bones again. Make sure geometry is disabled. Root bone, root bone. I think these are okay. All right. And I just move something around, and I just make sure that everything is moving with my model. Otherwise, I'm going to have troubles. But otherwise, everything is all good there. The only thing I don't want to export is this stuff. So in my script, before you export, make sure you toggle selection only. So let's run through that now. So I'm going to go to run my script. All right. So here's the script GUI. So before I export, I want to enable selection only. So if I select this, oh shoot, undo. I want to select only that. Okay, so that only that will export, because I don't want to export this stuff. Ah, shoot, did it again. Anyway, I'm going to do that. So that's what selection only is for, and reparent bones. Reparent your bones if you have a case where you have multiple root bones, because normally your model should only have one of these touching the left pane. Okay, only one bone should be the root bone. There should only be one bone that controls them all. But unfortunately, there's like a dozen. So because of that, you're going to want to turn on reparent bones. Okay, and what that will do is it'll reparent all those bones to a single bone, and that way you won't have any issues when you export. Okay, so that being said, we can now select this and get exporting. Okay, so again, nothing else to do, just hit the export button, and we are now going to export our geometry to our folder. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so overwrite this guy. Yes. Okay, that's going to take about 10 minutes, but yeah. Blah. Okay, so yeah, that completed in 372 seconds, but it seemed like 30 friggin' minutes. But anyway, yeah, so that's exported. We're going to open it up in XNALara now. So, yeah. Add model. Okay, so there is Cassandra with the new texture we created. Okay, and as well, you can see that the arm stuff that we attached earlier before is now attached and should move with the model. Okay, so yeah, that's nothing too crazy. So yeah, as well the leg should work as well. Just be careful you select the right bone because there are so many bones there. But yeah, so exporting a SoCalibre 4 model, extremely easy, just very tedious because you're dealing with a lot of geometry and tweak, remove, and whatnot. Okay, so yeah, I didn't do the entire mesh. I just did some attachments, some removal, and some recoloring. But that's all you really need to know. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully the introduction to Max wasn't too fast for you, and probably what I was doing at Max for the SoCalibre 4 part was probably kind of confusing because it was going kind of fast. But yeah, again, the forums here. Where are you? Okay, yeah. So yeah, if you have a question, please come here, ask me. If you have problems with the file, post it. I'll look at it, review it, fix it, and etc. etc. So yeah, thanks for watching and good luck.